Sırada The War Within Deep Dive. Bakalım yeni expansion bize neler getirecek.
We're starting the day off right. Here's the World of Warcraft Deep Dive.
Müzik de güzel ha. Vay be Ian.
Good afternoon, BlizzCon. So good to be back. Whether you are here in the arena with me right in front of me, whether you're watching from elsewhere in the halls, whether you're joining us from the comfort of your home, thank you for taking the time to join me for this deeper, closer look at what's coming next in the War Within. I love you too. I love you, BlizzCon. So Morgan and Maria gave you kind of a sneak peek at some of what's coming. Today I want to spend a bit more time giving you more information on the core features of War Within, as well as a few things that didn't get mentioned at all yesterday. So, beginning, just a little teaser there. So, to begin, let's talk delves. So, what is a delve? As you heard yesterday, delves are these quick, bite-sized, epic adventures for flexible-sized groups. Either solo or with up to 5 players. They are role agnostic, so it doesn't matter if you're a couple DPS, if you're a healer and a tank, if you're a solo healer, we're going to make it work. We're going to meet you where you are, how you want to play. Delves are a new endgame pillar. This is a permanent addition to World of Warcraft going forward and represents kind of a capstone to the outdoor world experience. We've had dungeons, we've had raids.
Solo da yapabiliyorsun, 5 kişiye kadar da yapabiliyorsun. Endgame. Ve devam edecek dedi. Yani daimi kalıcı bir sistem getiriyoruz dedi. Bu arada işin enteresanını söyleyeyim. Daha 2 dakika oldu da ben Ian'ı böyle daha bir rahat gördüm. Yani böyle bir daha böyle bir rahatlamış sanki hani bir yük gitmiş üstünden falan gibi. Bir şeyler değişmiş gibi sanki. Diğer çünkü expansion tanıtımları olsun, işte ne bileyim yaptıkları röportajlar olsun, bilmem neler olsun. Hep böyle bir vücut dilinde hep bir stres var, anladın mı? Böyle bir kasılmış böyle herif deli gibi. Şu an inanılmaz rahat. Daha 2 dakika ama. Bir şeyler değişmiş. Ne değişti tabii ki? Microsoft'un satın alımı. Üzerine bir de Chris Metzen geldi. Roller böyle biraz daha oturmuş içeride belli ki. Bu da şimdi tabii satış işinden örnek vereceğim. Sen kendi ürününe ne kadar güvenirsen o kadar karşıya da o güveni veriyorsun. Şu an yaptıkları işe inanıyor, güveniyor belli ki. O da var. But there aren't necessarily goals to work towards. There aren't necessarily reasons to be excited about getting an item upgrade because it's going to let you do something you haven't been able to do before. A difficulty progression built into delves is going to enable us to offer that. Now, there's a lot of lessons we've learned over the years from building this. Ne oynuyor muyuz yarın? Whether it was Torghast in Shadowlands, Island Expeditions, scenarios, you can throw in horrific visions in that list. We've learned a lot about how to tune these sorts of experiences, how to design them for flexible scaling groups of different sizes. Dünyanın en iyi oyunu Counter-Strike. Yarın oynarız muhtemelen. But we've also learned based on your feedback about what not to do in some cases in terms of how we structure it, how we present it. I think a key aspect Gece bizimkiler toplanırsa oynarız. This is an endgame pillar is that it's an offering in parallel to the others, to dungeons, to raids. If you want to do this, if this is your jam, if this is your type of gameplay, we're there for you and we want this to be as deep as you want it to be. If you're happy running Mythic, ne diyorsun ya? WoW mu diyorsun? Yarın çünkü Diablo patch'i de var. Item to the checklist of things you feel you have to do to compete. It's an alternative. Unlike Torghast, which is something that, we did kind of say,
everyone has to do this, whether you like it or not, whether you'd rather do something else or not. That gets back to some of the
Boynum ağrıyor
philosophies
ya.
that Morgan touched on yesterday and how we're approaching designing and evolving World of Warcraft. We want to meet you where you are. We want to respect your time. We want to offer you the ability
W
to
Omega
choose
Lul
how you
W.
want to spend that time each day, each
Yarın
night in Azeroth.
10.2 yarın mı? Valla şuradan göstereyim. Alttan bastım download'a, bak bitmiş. 3 saat oldu. Bitmiş. 7'ye mi 6'ya mı ne sabitlemiştim. I don't know. Ansızın çıkabilirim WoW'la. Abine bir game time al bakalım. Hemen açalım hesabı.
Boss-like encounters, and the dungeon is over when you kill the final baddest boss at the end of the dungeon. And that's kind of the structure that they all have to conform to. As much as we try to vary the formula a bit, that's pretty much what they're going to be.
Bir token gönder, açayım
In the
hesabı.
world, things are a bit different. We can, break
Yoksa
some of
zor.
the rules. And really, at the end of the day, the one consistent thing about delves is that they're all going to end with a room full of treasure. Some of those will have a final boss guardian in front of them. Others,
treasure.
maybe, just exploring, traversing the delve, flipping switches, solving a puzzle, defeating lieutenants, gathering things that you need to open the vault door. We can vary the gameplay, we can vary the feel of the experience. These are going to be instanced experiences, but they are seamless. When you walk up to, this, as I'll show in a second, a fog door at the entrance to a cave, at the entrance
Fog
to
door
a
mu?
bunker,
Ne lan bu? Dark Souls mu oynuyoruz?
and now you're in a delve. You want to make sure this really feels like part of and an extension of the outdoor world. Now, as part of an in-game pillar, that means we're going to tie this into seasons. So, as well as a narrative progression over the course of a given season, there will be increasing rewards, increasing difficulty, and a change of pace, whether you're in Season 1 of War Within, Season 2, and so forth. Part of that is going to be the NPC companion that will be accompanying you on your adventures. The Season 1 companion, as we mentioned yesterday, is our good friend, Bran Bronzebeard. Now, what does this mean? What does the companion mean in practice?
Her sezonda companion'ımız değişecek.
It's a narrative hook. It gives us a chance to help give context for your adventures, kind of narrate what you're going through.
Sezon ne ya?
Also, it's a chance to kind of
WoW'da sezon, MMORPG oyunlarında sezon.
Your play style. As Bran adventures with you, you might find some gear for Bran. You might be able to gear Bran up. You'll be able to spec him and customize his abilities to complement what you or your friends are bringing to the group.
Bran'i de level'layacağız, yapacakmışız, giyecekmişiz.
Whether you want more control, this can help us balance the experience as well and give you another vector for your progression over the course of the journey. Now, I know this has kind of been very high level. I want to just give a couple of specific examples as kind of a day in the life of someone jumping into delves in War Within. So let's say you are casually journeying.
Oha, hakikaten Dark Souls'daki şeyi yapmışlar lan. Kapıyı yapmışlar. Beyaz bir bulutlu kapı.
So as you venture in, you are, as I mentioned, seamlessly in the delve, and you will find, just huddled inside the entrance, a group of expedition scouts who have come to this place. They've heard reports of great secrets, great treasures, powerful relics stored within, but they've been unable to proceed further. Because, they tell you, and Bran is among them, mind you, they tell you, this place, there's an unnatural, there's a disturbing darkness that has settled over this entire vault, and we can't proceed.
Okay.
Fortunately, they have in their possession a relic that they have brought that is an enchanted candle that can light the way. It has a little light radius around it.
Relikleri varsa niye açamamışlar kapıyı? İlerleyemiyoruz diyorlar ama relikleri var, ilerleyebilmelerini sağlayan.
It really felt like just a dark, scary place, but you could have this beacon in the darkness to guide your way. You have one of those. But, they tell you, it has very limited fuel. They dare not proceed on their own because they worry they're just going to get trapped in the darkness and destroyed by the terrors within. But you, of course, being the champion who's come along, you're up to the
cevabımı aldım.
So you take that candle with its light radius that will begin to shrink progressively as your limited fuel burns, and you take some steps into the delve. Now, who do you find in here? Well, as it happens, you run across fellows like this guy. More jacked than your average kobold, but there's a lot of kobolds in here. And as you know, as any World of Warcraft player knows, where you find kobolds, you're going to find candles. And this guy's going to put up a fight, but it being World of Warcraft and all, you're going to take his candle. And you're going to take the candles of his allies and his brethren. And,
No take candle.
that will help fuel this magic light.
Öyle mi diyorlar? Ne diyordu bunlar? No take candle mı diyordu?
So that you can traverse the
Me
entire
no candle
delve,
mı diyordu? Bir şey diyordu.
defeat a couple of lieutenant-type enemies, bosses, solve a puzzle or two, and at the end, you make your way into the vault room that Bran is able to open once you bring him there, and you find this mock-up work in progress of a treasure room, heaping with riches, treasure chests of various shapes and sizes. Some of the smaller ones, you can just walk up and open, collect
1,
a
2,
range
3,
of
4,
items, currency, rewards,
5 chest var
but
galiba.
you'll
Bir
find a
tanesi
couple
büyük.
of extra large, resplendent
4'ü
chests
küçük.
in this room. Those may require special keys to open. Now,
Anahtar
those keys
istiyor, okay.
you would obtain from doing kind of outdoor content, weekly quests. They're a bit more limited in how you can get them, but also allow us to offer and pace out the best rewards. They're on par with some other endgame content to make sure it's not, infinitely grindable or anything like that, but it's an extension of your outdoor world loop if this is your playstyle. Now, let's say you come back to the same delve on another day. You might find that there isn't a magical darkness settled over the place. Instead, there are earthen locked in battle with kobolds, and you can help turn the tide of that fight as you work your way through, dealing with some different challenges along the way. Variety, replayability, lots of layers to the experience. Now, so you venture back out into the zone, heading off to a different corner of it, and you come across this cave surrounded by mushrooms. It's known in legends as fungal folly. Now, maybe not being the wisest adventurer, that sounds like a great place to enter, so you take a few steps forward. In here, you might find an environment where, whether it's due to unusual ores or whatever in the walls, the rules of gravity are a bit topsy-turvy. And you'll find mushrooms scattered around the cave that you can use as basically jump pads to help navigate the environment, to skip over enemies you want to avoid, to reach high up ledges that you couldn't otherwise get to. You're starting to get the idea, like, this is more
Jump
the
puzzle.
world as toy vibe that we try to play with when we're creating outdoor events, outdoor spaces. These are not mechanics you'd necessarily find in a dungeon, but I think the team really is unshackled, is freed to explore a much wider array of gameplay when we're building delves. So let's talk a bit more about the loot. So actually, before we talk about the loot, these are the 12 delves that we currently have planned, scattered throughout the 4 zones, each themed around the ecologies, each themed around the settings that you're going to find.
Isle of Dawn.
Now, some of the attentive among you may be saying,
3,
wait a
4,
minute,
2,
Morgan's
3.
slide said there were 13 delves yesterday. He might be right, but there also might be a secret delve that you have to explore a bit more to discover that awaits you. So yeah, loot.
Okay, 12 tane var.
Part
Bir
of building
tanesi
Signal
secret.
Pillar means going to the Great Vault every
Oha,
week and
Vault'a-
getting to share
Ha,
that
bunu
disappointment
söylemişlerdi.
that your raiding and dungeon playing brethren have also had the pleasure of
PvP
enjoying.
yok.
But just
LOL.
make sure you don't feel left out.
PvP'ciler
So,
get
you're welcome.
fucked. Kimse oynamadığı için
You'll note
PvP'yi
this isn't
kaldırmışlar.
a Delves row, this is a world row. And really that is enshrining these 3 PvE pillars, raids, dungeons, world. You'll be able to unlock some of these slots doing select
One heroic,
outdoor
one mythic, or
activities,
time
as
walking
well as,
dungeon.
of course, delves with better rewards from higher difficulty
Time Walking
delves.
ve Hero'yu
Our
da
thinking in
eklemişler
terms of the
dungeon
rewards here,
fazına.
this is all subject to tuning, is that this should reach to, let's say, end boss heroic raid.
İlk
with
raid'in
a
ismi
10 to
de
15
Nerubar
type
Palace
range,
belli
accessible
ki.
just via solo progression. Far better loot than you've ever been able to get before.
Bir daha dinleyelim, ne dedi ya?
Rewards. Yeah, so you'll note this isn't a Delves row, this is a world row. And really that is enshrining these 3 PvE pillars, raids, dungeons, world. You'll be able to unlock some of these slots doing select outdoor world activities, as well as, of course, delves with better rewards from higher
World
difficulty
Activity
delves.
ya da Delve.
Our thinking in terms of the rewards here, this is all subject to tuning, is that this should reach to, let's say, end boss heroic raid, mythic 10 to 15 type range, accessible
Wow.
just via solo progression. Far
İyiymiş.
better loot than you've ever been able to get before.
Heroic raid loot'u.
And now, I'm sure this is, I know this is the delve section, but I'm sure there's folks looking at this and being like, wait a minute, what about the PvP row? Don't worry, we got you. We are removing the PvP row from the vault. We're doing that based largely on feedback that we've heard that randomness and PvP gearing maybe are not the best combination.
PvP'ciler
I
random
know it took a few years
drop
to get that
şeyini
message through to us.
sevmiyormuş. O yüzden kaldırmışlar.
So the way this is going to work is instead, you're going to get a whole lot more conquest. You're going to gear up at the same rate overall, but you will have complete control over your gearing path. Just spending your conquest on the
Daha
items
fazla
that you want.
conquest alacaklar. Daha fazla
It's
gear,
easier
daha
to
hızlı
catch
gear.
up if you come in late in the season. You don't have to worry about having missed certain vault weeks. Also, if you're someone who PvPs a lot and you raid, you don't have the awkward choice of that raid trinket versus the PvP item that's going to help
Abi
you
evet.
partners. So hopefully, just good news for everyone.
Güzel ya, evet.
Now,
PvP
aside
yapmak
from,
zorunda
just power,
yaptığımdan
also
değil
you get
ama PvP yapmak zorunda hissediyordum kendimi resmen o Vault'ta. Böyle o aşağıdaki PvP'yi boş görüyorum ya sürekli. Ya ulan şuradan bir de PvP yapalım da bari oradan belki bir silah gelir, bir şey gelir falan.
silly hats.
Güzel.
Nothing more to say here. These
Bunlar da
just-
ne, transmog mu? Şu helm mi bu? Enteresanmış.
These are just a few examples of the array of cosmetic rewards that will be exclusive to delves, reflecting the varied ecologies and environments you're going to be facing. So, silly hats, World of Warcraft. Less silly, just
ne lan?
as, let's say, Mythic
Helikopter.
Plus players
Ee?
have amounts that they can earn over the course of a given season.
Oha!
This customizable flying mount will be exclusively available through thorough completion of the delve experience. You'll note the customizability of it. This will be customizable the same way you
Vay,
customize the current
güzel.
dragon riding drakes at the rostrum. Just modularly.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nasıl
It's pretty
kazanacağız
cool.
bunu?
I love our artists. Okay. Up next.
Warband neydi?
I feel like I could probably just save 10 minutes of this panel by just saying account-wide everything and just click through the next slides. But it kind of that.
Baksana rahat, çok rahat ya yayın hakikaten.
I don't know if you guys know this, but turns out y'all play a lot of alts.
Yep.
I'm sure that actually the number of characters per person in this room in particular is like some insane average. But the average WoW player today plays multiple characters. The two-thirds of players who have a level 70 have multiple level 70s. Half of players have 3 or more.
Oha.
Most people are playing multiple characters.
%50'si
And
oynayanların
that's not something the game, it's no secret, has always
2'den
been best
3'ten
on
fazla
doing.
karakteri varmış.
Part of that is because World of Warcraft 20 years ago was built with very different assumptions. And I both mean design-wise, but actually engineering-wise as well. The infrastructure and the architecture that was built. Back then, it took hundreds of hours to level a single character, of course, and playing alt seriously was far, far from the norm. But we've kind of inherited, we have been working with those foundations to this day. And so when we get requests for them, when we talk about alt friendliness, we try to do it, but we're often we're swimming upstream, given the underpinnings of a system that were never designed for this. And that's why you get some, frankly, pretty clunky solutions. Like, well, if you want to transfer this currency to your alt, go to a vendor and spend some to buy a different box that contains account-bound currency that you can then mail to yourself, log out, log back in, take the box out of your mailbox, and open it on your alt. Congratulations, you have moved 300 supplies. Elegant design, ladies and gentlemen. What if we didn't have to do that?
Oyunun ilk designerlarına bok attı ya.
What if we just rebuilt those foundations and created a new future, both for the things we want to offer today and the things we'll be able to in the future, so we're not fighting against the nature of the system, but instead it complements what we want to do. Now, the focus here is really making it convenient, removing barriers, removing awkwardness in playing alts. We don't want to actively necessarily encourage it. People already want to do it if they do it. One thing the system is not going to be is something that awards you power or makes your main more effective because you have done things on other characters or anything along those lines. If you want to play alts, do so. If you just love focusing on a single character, that shouldn't feel wrong either. Now let's talk about some examples.
Warband Bankası, ortak
I'm gonna run
banka.
through these pretty quickly. They're mostly fairly straightforward.
Nice.
It's a bank. It's an account-wide bank. Thankfully, hopefully, you should never again have to mail something to yourself. You also might notice, and so this is giant, lots of storage, extra tabs that can be purchased on the right-hand side, so multiple tabs of these. You can organize them as you want. The very observant, the eagle-eyed, will notice a little checkbox mentioning reagents. If you deposit reagents here, you can craft from the account-wide storage on any of your characters.
Oha. Reagents'ları koyarsan bankada hangi karakterin ne olursa olsun craft yaparken o bankadan kullanıyor şeyi. Oha çok iyi. Craft yapanlar craft yapanlara gün doğdu. Ne bu şimdi? Warbound until equipped. Ha, o, okey. Böyle salak salak itemlar vardı ya satamadığımız. Auction house'a da koyamıyorsun, satamıyorsun da. Hiçbir şey yapamıyorsun falan. O itemları atabilecekmişiz bankaya, diğer karakterler kullanabilecekmiş. Onlar da account bound oluyor yani.
But just easy potential hand-me-downs, ways of getting an alt caught up, maybe even an excuse to level an alt if you get a really cool item for a class that you haven't had a chance to get up yet. So just an extra layer here, hopefully, making it easier than ever to progress, to accomplish your goals on multiple characters.
Nice.
All right, now quick rundown of some of the other integrations we have planned. Transmog. Transmog has always been, it's been for a long time an account-wide collection. Key thing here now that really it is being acquired by your warband. That means that now if you were running, let's say, Ulduar on your mage and a pair of plate shoulders drop, you can still add those plate shoulders to your warband collection.
Güzel. Bunu ama birçok kişi yanlış anlamış. Şey değil. Ya örnek veriyorum sen plate giyen bir adamsın. Cloth Armor düştü. Transmog'umuza şu an ekleyebileceğiz biz onu. Ama onu transmog yapamıyoruz yine. Yapamıyormuşuz. Yani insanlar ben cloth giyiyorum ama plate transmog'u yapabileceğim gibi algılamış ama öyle değilmiş. Sadece o transmog düşecek. Transmog listemize, wardrobe'umuza ekleyebilecekmişiz onu.
Yeah, self-explanatory. And then, if you log on your warrior later, your warrior can equip them, you're good to go. Hopefully you don't need to feel like you need to refarm the same stuff on as many different armor types anymore. Reputations, again, fairly straightforward. In War Within, reputations and renowns will work account-wide.
Reputation'lar da account-wide. Nice. Main'imizle oynadık abi. Bütün reputation'ları kastık. Geç altına full. Mis. Bu hakikaten en büyüğü ya.
It's the same content, it's the same experience. If you've gained access to some perk or some recipe, having to re-earn it, not terribly compelling. Here's a really light example, simple one.
WoW iş olmaktan çıkıyor ha, chat. Ne diyorsunuz?
Is it terribly compelling to have to go back to a spot that you've already been to in multiple characters just to learn a flight path for the fourth time? No. If you have a flight path network unlocked, you have that unlocked across your warband going forward.
Nice. Flight path'ler de ortak. Tekrar gidip alt karakterimizi açmamıza gerek yok flight path'lere. Sonunda hakikaten ha. As you are advancing Bran as a companion, as you are empowering him, as you're customizing him, again, logging on to a different character and going back to having a weaker Bran that doesn't offer the tools that you've grown accustomed to, that's more frustrating than fun to re-earn those things. O devler de account wide olacak. Yani o devlerde gittik biz Bran'i level'ladık işte gear'ladık şunu yaptık bunu yaptık bilmem ne hop alta geçtik. Sıfırdan onunla da başlamayacağız. Yani herhalde sıfırdan tek yapacağımız şey Dungeon, Raid abi. Başka bir şey kalmadı.
And achievements.
Ama Blizzard'ı biliyoruz yani. Kesin bir yerde ha siktir ya. Her şeyi yapmışsınız, bunu mu yapmamışsınız deriz. Kesin deriz yani. Achievement'lar da Achievement'lar zaten ortak değil miydi ya? Gerçi ortak olmayan achievement'lar vardı değil mi?
So if you do part of this PvP or crafting or other achievement on one character, part of it on another, your warband can earn the achievement. Once your warband earns it, you've earned it. Again, you the player are doing the thing.
Nice. Okey, biz artık player olarak biz yapıyoruz abi. Bizim karakterimiz değil. O mentalite, ben de mesela bak birçok şeyi ben öyle açıklıyordum. Hatırlarsınız belki. Yani ben belki o kafada büyüdüğüm için bana çok şey gelmiyor, bayık gelmiyordu da. Teoride bayık gelmiyordu diyeyim. Hani benim için karakter abi. Ben bu karakteri leveladım, bu karakteri gearladım. Tabii ki ben bu karaktere geçtiğimde her şey sıfırdan başlayacak mentalitesiyle ben de büyüdüğüm için belki de öyle geliyordu. Ama ondan tamamen çıkıyorlar. Biz oyuncu olarak yapıyoruz. Bunlar da bizim karakterlerimiz abi, neyse.
Oh yeah, and then this.
Bu da yeni loading screen. Login screen. Enteresan. Bildiğim bir campfire önünde. Aynen.
What you'll see when you log into World of Warcraft with multiple characters is a selection of your favorite characters huddled around a campfire or another setting. You'll still have your full list accessible, but we want to make it clear that you, the player, have this cast of characters that if you want to dress them all up in consistent transmogs, go wild.
Evet bak doğru. Transmogları aynen benim burası ne kadar çirkin gözükür biliyor musun? Düşünsene beni. Benimkileri bir düşünsene. Level 3 var burada bir tane. Pijama giymiş. Level bilmem kaç var şeyden kalma. Kataklizmden kalma gear falan. Salak salak o zamanlar atıyorum. Transmog yok. Transmog olmayan dönemden kalmış falan. Karakterlerin hepsi mi kötü? Main'im kafa atar herkese de. Gizleme vardır herhalde. Bilmiyorum ki. Bence umarım yoktur ya. Gerçi o seçenek versinler aynen. Eski modu istiyorum ben belki mesela.
Warbands are a realm agnostic, faction agnostic feature. You will just see all your characters here. If they're on different servers, we'll make it clear that they're on different servers. But you shouldn't have to go to the change realm screen and swap around.
Ha, oha. Diğer RAM'lerdekileri de eskisi gibi şey yapmayacağız artık. Başka bir RAM'de karakterim. Oha benim oğlum ben yemin ediyorum var ya burada 40 kişi falan olur burada. Belki daha bile fazla. Artık RAM değiştirme yok aynen. Hepsi burada gözükmeyecek ama diyor. Gidip uğraşmayacaksınız artık diyor. Herhalde search'e yazacağız ismini. Çıkacak mı artık? İsmini de hatırlamıyorsak ne yapacağız? Gerçi aşağıda var burada.
One thing you might notice is there isn't really much here about realm selection.
Kağıt yapıştırılan monitörde karakter ekranında.
Faction agnostic feature. You will just see all your characters here. If they're on different servers, we'll make it clear that they're on different servers.
Başka serverlardaysa belli edeceğiz diyor.
They're just all here.
Ha burası o zaman bak tamam. Aynen bak camp var burada zaten. Aynen istediğimiz karakteri bu campfire'a getirebiliyoruz. Tamam aynen. Yani bizim karakter listesi yine burada. Server diye bir şey yok artık. Karakter listesi burada. Ben bunu alıyorum abi. Burada camp'e gel diyorum. Camp'e getiriyoruz burada. Peki bu camp'te kaç karakter görebiliyoruz acaba mesela? 4 değildir inşallah. 4'ten fazla olsun ya. Böyle bir 6 sığar buraya sanki şu arkada birileri. Değil mi? Şu kutunun üstüne biri oturur.
Hero talents. So, at their core, this is a chance for us as we continue to evolve and advance our class system.
Yalnız farkında mısınız bak 25 dakika oldu. Bunu da çok uzun zamandır ben söylüyorum. Yani bu oyunun oyuncu kitlesi, MMORPG oyunlarının oyuncu kitlesi Casual oyuncular abi. Sen öncelikle casual oyuncuları doyurman lazım diyorum. Bak 25 dakika oldu. Daha bir tane sistemden, bir tane endgame ile ilgili bir şeyden, hiçbir şeyden bahsetmedi. Millet çığlık çığlığa. Görüyorsun değil mi? Bu abi işte. Olması gereken bu yani.
Explore some deeper class
Daha
fantasy.
hala
Look
casual
at
taraftayız.
iconic archetypes like the Farseer or the Dark Ranger or the Mountain King.
Ya arada
Subjects
tabii
often inspired
şeyi
by major
gösterdi
heroes
de.
in the Warcraft universe, other times by
Neydi
fantasies that
o?
we've heard are really resonant with players, and
Volt'u.
focus the continued expansion of our classes in that space. Now, Morgan said this yesterday, just to restate, this is a
Senin için
completely
işte
flexible
casual.
system. It's as flexible as your current talents and specs.
Aynen.
Nothing like covenants or anything like that. Anytime you could change your talents today, you can change your hero spec, you can swap around your hero talents. They're just talents. Now, some of our goals here
Ne
are to
dedi ya?
offer progression, but we want to do so, frankly, while managing complexity to a certain extent. When we started planning for War Within, we knew, all right, we're going to raise the level cap by 10. 10 new levels means 10 new talent points. The kind of default option for us would have been to take the existing class and spec trees and just add a couple more rows to each of them, add new points to spend. But we've been down that path before. We know exactly where that leads 15 years ago. There's a tremendous amount, there's an insane amount of like multiplicative combinatoric complexity from adding those additional options. And it also destroys some carefully constructed choices that are really successful that we've just built up in Dragonflight today, where you can't quite have all of these
Dragonfly.
things. You need to, pick
Dragonfly'da
one or the other.
Yusufçuk.
Suddenly, when you can get all of them, it can lead towards homogeneity as well.
Yusufçuk diye çevirmiş.
So this approach allows us to both
Yusufçuk
work
oynuyor
with
muyuz
systems
Yusufçuk?
while focusing the decision
Yusufçuk
space in a way
10.2.
that offers power without that excessive complexity. So the way it's generally going to look is a third talent tree. Again, as mentioned yesterday, at the center of your screen, you have class, you have talent, and in the middle, you have hero talents.
Bir liste gördüm ya Twitter'da. Bu hero talent'larla ilgili. Bütün klasların hero talent isimleri ne olacak diye. DK'nınkileri beğenmiştim.
At level 80, you will have this fully unlocked, similar to Legion artifacts, let's say. So you don't have to agonize over, where you're placing any choice along the way. Now, the choices that you will make are which heroes.
Deathbringer var evet.
And also,
Bir tane
there will be choice nodes within the trees.
neydi o vampirler vardı ya şeyde. Prince'ler vardı. Onlardan birinin ismi mi var? Öyle bir şey var galiba. Yanlış görmediysem. ICC'de vardı ya Prince'ler. Blood Queen. Falan filan. Onlarla bağlantılı bir şey var.
There's the class trees and the spec trees currently, which you can toggle, adding quite a few permutations to the system as a whole. If you want, as a kind of simpler collapsed view, once you've hit max level, you can just condense it down to only
Dungeon değil, raid boss'u.
for easy swapping back and forth.
ICC'de vardı ya 3 tane Prince'ler. Bir de Blood Queen vardı sonraki boss.
Now, I want to take a little bit of time to quickly walk through a couple of trees to give a sense of the sorts of things you might find in
Dungeon'ı hatırlamıyorum da raid boss'u normalde.
I'm going to use druids a lot as an example here. Going to focus on the case of a balanced druid. Part of why the team starts.
Link gitti cash.
Is because y'all are complicated. We figure there's 4 specs, 3 roles. We figure let's try some of the hardest cases first when proving out a design. It's nothing against the mages, warlocks, paladins, etc. But there's a reason why you probably tend to see more druid examples than other classes because we figure if we can make it work for druids, the rest will be okay.
At bakayım bir daha.
Options available to a balanced druid are this Keeper of the Grove tree and Elune's Chosen. Keeper of the Grove is available to balance and restoration.
Siktir.
Elune's Chosen is available to balance and guardian.
Ha bunu gördüm galiba evet.
On calling the forest to your aid, on summon treants.
Dur bakalım. Evet ben de bu listeyi gördüm. Rider of the Apocalypse, Sunline, bu. Bunlar işte şeylerle bağlantılı olanlar. Blood Prince'lerle, Deathbringer. Allah'ım Demon Hunter'lara bak yazık. 2 spec. Ulan Evoker'ın bile 3 spec'i var ya. 2 spec çıktı 3.'yü getirdiler. 10 yıl oldu Demon Hunter'ı hala getiremediler.
and augmenting their abilities and what using that cooldown means.
Dark Ranger MMO oynarım ben yeni expansion'da. Bakalım, bu sadece şey değil. Bunlar sadece kozmetik değil, class fantasy değil yani. Bunlar gerçekten işimize yarayacak da şeyler. Yanlış anlamadıysam, anlamıyorsam. Atıyorum biri AoE, biri single target falan mesela hani. Değil mi?
It's just kind of a baseline improvement to your throughput while treants are out across
Aynen
the
bak.
board. This just kind of emphasizes thematically what this tree is about and makes pushing that button, having the treants out, more important to you in every regard. Some of the nodes in these trees are just going to be simple, straightforward passives. Not everything is going to double and triple down on the same treant ability. Some will, like this, regardless of what spec you are, make your treants add additional damage. Oh, by the way, if anyone's worried, wait a minute, but what about the auto taunt? That's a mess in dungeons. We'll let you opt out of that. Don't worry. Or, passives could just augment your abilities, your resource pool, and just make you a better druid.
Daha bir yıl var, değişir.
An
Tabii
example of
canım.
choice node, again, this can be about doubling down on and getting more out of having the treants active. Or maybe you really don't want all of your eggs in that basket, even though you are going into this tree.
2024 Eylül anca. Bence Eylül'e kalmaz ya. 2024. Ben Ağustos diyorum ya. Ağustos'ta geliyor. Not al.
All of your abilities, or some of your core abilities. This is one of the simpler choices available, but the idea is 4 different opportunities to nudge your gameplay in one direction or another.
Fall falan demiyor ya. Nerede diyor?
A capstone talent again is often likely to
Kasım falan mümkün değil arkadaşlar, Kasım falan. Mümkün değil yani.
Having the treants out is going to be a peak, a spike in your potential, something that you're going to plan around and just amplify the overall benefits that you're achieving from that. Now, pivoting to Elun's Chosen, again, this is lunar themed and shared with...
Neden dolayı da mümkün değil diyorum biliyor musun? Çünkü Diablo expansion'ı da çıkacak şeyde. İşte son şeyde, neyse o. Dolayısıyla onunla zaten bence çakıştırmazlar. Mümkün değil yani. Son çeyrek mümkün değil. 3. çeyrek olur. 3. çeyreğin sonu da zaten, atıyorum sonu desek, Eylül oluyor değil mi sonu? Aynen. Yani ben Ağustos diyorum.
Druids. So the first point here is going to call out 3 specific signature abilities. 2 balance, 1 guardian. And make them
Haziran'da geliyorum ben, önce çıkmasına da gelsin zaten. Yok, Haziran'dan önce de olmaz.
You might read this and realize that, like Lunar Beam is going to become a pretty powerful defensive cooldown, especially in dungeons. You have a big pull going on. You're leeching a lot of damage back from what you're doing. This is now something that you can really count on and plan around as you approach your gameplay. On the Moonkid side, this of course adds an extra layer to planning and throughput in your rotation.
Tamam ya, bu yani Druid'le işimiz yok bizim ha. Bize Druid anlatıyordu.
Of the hero spec, so 1 per current specialization. Some cool fantasies here to explore. Definitely really curious to hear
Deathbringer, Rider of the Apocalypse. Çok iyi değil mi oğlum?
Frankly, maybe a bit lame. Are there any that you hoped you'd see on here that you're not seeing on here?
Yeni raid mekanikleri burada işliyorsa bak görürüz. Yeni raid dediğin 10.2'de gelecek mi? 10.2'de geleceğe baktık. Videosunu izledik.
Work in progress, prone to iteration, and for no part of the game is the community input more essential.
10.2 raid'ini geçen gün izledik ya.
To that end, when we move.
Yo, bunun devamını izleriz de Druid izlemeyelim yani diye geçtim.
We want to have as many, if not all of these hero specs playable from the start, so that we have the entire alpha and beta window to iterate on them, to replace the things that aren't working, to dial them all in to where everyone's going to be excited about what they're getting in War Within. It's a long road ahead. We can't wait to share that journey with you and really just collaborate, discuss back and forth every step of the way. Right. Now some other stuff. Some you've heard about, some you haven't. First off, Allied Race, you get to be an Earthen. Awesome blinged out
War
dwarves,
Within
or maybe
Campaign
not
to
so
unlock.
blinged out if you want
Okey,
to
ana göreve direkt
play.
eklemişler
You
Allied
can only
Race'e.
earn
Nice.
just by playing through the War Within campaign fully. There's no
Zaten
rep
hepimiz
gear, nothing
oynayacağız
else
yani
beyond that.
mecburiyetten.
You are
Hiç öyle kasmaya germeye gerek yok. Gerçi ekstra quest muhabbetini seviyorum ben Allied Race'lerde. Onların hikayesini işliyorsun falan da. Meh yani. Aa. Bak. Oğlum. Yemin ediyorum beni Blizzard'a alsınlar. Yemin ediyorum Dragonflight'ta daha bunu dedim. Dedim ki Dragonflight'ta Evoker'lar şey oluyor ya. Evoker'lar hani yeni bir ırk. Hiç görmediğimiz işte Draktir'ler yeni bir ırk. Evoker yeni bir klas. Hiç görmediğimiz falan böyle bir klas. Ben diyordum ki hani şimdi başka hiçbir klas Evoker olamıyor ya başka bir ırk. Biz bu heriflerle tanışıyoruz. Hikayede şöyle bir şey bağlasınlar. Yemin ediyorum açın eski yayınlarıma bakın yani. Bir yıl oldu neyse ne zaman çıktıysa expansion. Biz bu ırkla tanışıyoruz ve zaman geçirmeye başlıyoruz. Birbirimizden bir şeyler öğreniyoruz. Belli bir yerden sonra diğer ırklara da bu hikayeyle birleştirebilirler, birleştirmeliler bence diyordum. Al bak burada bunu yapıyorlar herifler. Görüyor musun? Bak kültürlerini öğreniyorsun, onlarla çalışıyorsun. Ya.
And join you as either Horde or Alliance. So yes, Horde dwarves.
Vay be.
We haven't yet finalized what the racial abilities
İş başvurusu yapacağım.
but the available classes, 10
Ben bu fikri bir yıl önce söylemiştim diye.
Everything but Druid, Demon Hunter and Evoker.
Available class Hunter olamıyor. Demon Hunter olamıyorlar. Druid olamıyorlar, Evoker olamıyorlar.
Your Earthen to max level. Right, Dynamic Flight.
Abi Dynamic Flight'ı da herkes çok seviyor da ben çok kısa sürede bayıldım ya Dynamic Flight'tan.
Obvious very early on in Dragonflight, probably before Dragonflight even released in beta, that we could never go back to how it used to be. Honestly, we hoped that would be the outcome. We hoped the feedback would be, this is so awesome, we just want this to be how flying works.
Ben hiç sevmiyorum pillejler ya. Evet ya.
Making plans for what that would mean, because it's the only way to go. And so, yeah, dragon riding is going to become the default, no longer just dragons, but dynamic flight now.
Okay, dynamic flight bundan sonra normalimiz artık. Eskiye dönmüyoruz da.
I meant to have two mounts here, but I only see ashes on the right. But anyway, and beyond, we want to make sure. Oh, weird. I meant to have two mounts here, but I only see ashes on the right. But anyway. The key point being, we want to expand this to the broader array of mounts that you have available. I think the only downside of dragon riding, as it exists today, is that you don't have much reason to use so many of the mounts that are your favorites visually, aesthetically, that you've earned and done so much to collect. You want to make sure that as much of your collection is viable as possible. So not every single flying mount is able to support dynamic flight. There's some animation logistics to work with there, but as many as we can. It's a 3-digit number. We want a very wide array of mounts being able to just fly the way you've always, enjoyed with.
3 haneli dedi. Minimumda yani 100 mount Dynamic Flight olacak.
And just to clarify, this is the future of flying. So everywhere that you can fly today, you will be able to dynamically fly or dragon ride. In fact, not just in the War Within, a little sneak peek, I think in our upcoming 10.2.5 update, you'll be able to dragon ride Eastern Kingdoms, Kalimdor, Northrend, Outland, you name it.
Aa!
I think in our upcoming 10.2.5 update, you'll be able to
10.2.5'te Azeroth'ta da uçabilecekmişiz.
dragon ride in Eastern Kingdoms, Kalimdor, Northrend, Outland, you name it.
Outland'de falan. Oha, Northrend'de falan. Nice.
We also understand there are some folks for accessibility reasons, personal preference
Ve
reasons, maybe
seçebiliyormuşuz.
AFK, like
Oo,
making it
okey.
there, that dragon riding
TBC
isn't your
Flying.
favorite. We don't want to take anything away. We
Ya
want to
da
let all
Dynamic
these nows that
seçiyoruz.
can currently you do the old school flying mode toggle between dragon riding or let's call it TBC flying. Up to you, whatever you prefer.
Güzel. Al Arşender oynarsın
And again,
TBC
to
Flying'le.
be clear, dynamic flying will be
Pilsiz
available from the
ejderhanla.
very start when you go to Castlegar and the Isle of Dorne, just as it was in Dragonflight.
Kazalgar'a gider gitmez
Old school
aktif
TBC
olacak.
flying,
Nice.
Pathfinder style, will not be available right away, but it will be unlocked shortly after reaching max level with no reputation grind requirements. Just play through the campaign, explore the continents, then you can fly that way as well. The existing Dragon
Ya adına
Riding Blitz
TBC
system in
demişler
Dragon
işte.
Isles,
Normal flying, eski
we want to
flying.
pivot that to a bit more of something that's evergreen. Some of those unlocked traits may change to only work within the Dragon Isles.
Evergreen
Others that are
system ne
more
ya?
essential to just the experience feeling good, like vigor increases, regenerates,
TBC Burning Crusade geldi
abilities,
aklıma. O
are
zaten
just gonna
The
be
Burning
things that
Crusade'ın
you will
kısaltması
inherently get
TBC.
as you earn the
Flying
flight
TBC de
and
geldi
level
ya.
up naturally.
Ondan
We don't
TBC
want
Flying
down the line
diyorlar.
players to feel like they have to go back to an old expansion and fly around and collect a bunch of glyphs just to be able to
Demişler yani.
explore the new expansion. And in that vein, this is going to be the new default for leveling players. I mentioned earlier, when War Within comes out, instead of BFA, Dragonflight will be the new leveling experience that you merge into as a new player after you leave Exile's Reach. And so you're going to get dragon riding very early in that experience as you just level up.
Okey, yeni oyuncular Dragonflight'tan başlayacak şeye.
And get all the vigor perks and everything else.
BFA'dan başlamayacak artık.
And that's just going to be how the game works.
O da yazık oldu ya. Eski expansion'lar, eski haritalar.
Don't worry, PvPers, we haven't forgot you.
Aa, yeni
This is long
Battleground.
overdue.
Oha.
We should have been doing this.
Kaç? 25 yıl sonra falan mı geliyor ilk defa? En son ne zaman geldi Battleground? WoD'da mı geldi?
This is inspired by
Hatırlayamıyorum.
Silver Mines with a few twists. The Ringing Deeps are a place that's full of natural resources. That's very sort of thing that the Horn Alliance will be likely to skirmish over. I'm going to show you a very rough, early, kind of like top-down mock-up of the layout here. The idea is, unlike Silver Shard Mines, which is radial symmetry, this is more, mirrored and reflects the two sides trying to both push their own minecarts to collect resources while also fighting over a pivotal central control point that's going to change the outcome and the momentum of the match. This is something that the team has actually been playtesting internally a bunch over the last couple of weeks, having a blast with. When we make battleground maps, we don't really artify them. We keep them really rough, which is why they don't have any good images to show just yet, because it really is all about the layout. There's no point making it look pretty if the spacing isn't correct, if the exact paths aren't correct. That's going to be the next step. Can't wait to get this in front of everybody to start testing in alpha and beyond. And this isn't just a one-off. We want to keep adding new battleground maps going forward. This is an essential part of the game. And I mentioned 10v10, but we are just about to undertake a little 8v8 solo queue RBG experiment in 10-2 in a week or two. So depending on how that goes, you may be experiencing this one 8v8
Solo
so stay tuned.
rating battleground. Oha, nice.
Otherwise, we have
Nice oğlum.
interface updates that we're continuing to work on. In Dragonflight, we overhauled the HUD, the action bars, the unit frames, the baseline UI experience.
UI'yi değiştiriyor yine.
That was just the beginning. This is something we want to continue chipping away at, updating different pieces of the UI.
Sürekli bir değişiklik yapmak, eklenti yapmak istiyoruz.
So just a couple of examples here. So the spellbook, we are looking to modernize, update,
Oo, spellbook'a bak.
like a 1024 by 768 monitor resolution.
Abi evet. Gerçekten ya. Hakikaten tüplü monitörlerde kaldı yani o eski spellbook. Of hakikaten ha. Değil mi? Eski spellbook neydi oğlum öyle? Şimdi bir düşündüm. Bak şunu görünce direkt eskisi iğrenç geldi yani. Direkt normali bu yani bence, anladın mı hani? Diğeri ne kadar skandal bir şeydi ya. Göt kadar.
Ideally, you're not going to have to, flip through multiple pages to find some ability that's not on your action bars. Also, we're combining this with our talent screen. If you look at the tabs at the bottom, we have
Talent'la
spec,
birleştiriyoruz. Nerede?
talents, and spells all in one place. So it's kind of a one-stop shop for all the things that your character has available,
Ha, okey.
rather than having two separate windows that you need to move between.
Okey. Class spec
Some
olarak
light updates here. I think,
ayırmamışlar. Tek sayfada ilerliyoruz. 20 yıl sonra yapmaları.
some light updates
Aynen.
here.
Sayfa sayfa bir de.
Improving
Evet.
the overall aesthetic of
Güzel.
the quest log, the quest window. Think if this is harder to show off just in a single screenshot, but we are adding a bunch of filters to allow you to hide and show different objectives, to see more quests available at once, to filter your log for the things you care about most. We also have a full pass in progress on our quest iconography to make it easier to differentiate between daily and weekly quests and remove our reliance on just shades of color as much as we do. It's
Okay.
it is a color blindness issue for the range of quest bangs where the only difference is what color it is. And again, this is just a couple of examples of ongoing efforts. This is a project that will never be done.
Yani daily'ler, weekly'ler bilmem neleri ayırt edebileceğiniz şekilde düzenleme yapıyoruz diyor quest log'a. Neleri hideleyebileceksiniz, neleri açabileceksiniz seçenekleri var diyordu. Burada tabii bir bok anlaşılmıyor çok
Gonna
fazla.
continue improving and updating different aspects of the UI as we go. Yes. So this one basically speaks for itself. I've mentioned earlier, your warband is a cross-realm construct.
Cross-realm
Increasingly, so many
guilds mi?
things that players engage in socially.
Şaka
You have multiple
yapıyorsun.
realms, you have a raid group, you have a mythic plus group that you run with, group that you PvP with, but you can't be in the same guild together. Not any longer. That's a thing that will change when War Within comes out.
We are back baby.
Server
Chat,
shouldn't
guild
matter when it
kuruyoruz.
comes to joining a guild, when it comes to being in a guild.
Artık hangi serverda olduğunuz hiç önemi yok. Peki şey yapılacak
People may be
mı?
wondering, wait a minute, what does that mean if now guilds are cross-realm? What about mythic raiding? If your guild is cross-realm, your
Oha!
guild wants to raid mythic, you should be able to do that day one.
İlk
So,
günden direkt
no
mitik.
more
Ben bunu
realm
sormayacaktım.
restrictions there.
Şey devam ediyor mu? Yani sen Horde'sun benim guildime
The Hall of Fame
gelemezsin
will
falan
still
muhabbeti yok
exist,
değil mi
still
hala?
as a, memorial of accomplishment, but it's not gonna be
Cross
tied
realm
to
artı cross
unlocking
faction değil mi?
anything anymore.
Hala yani.
It's just there day one. And really just philosophically, this is
Onu hiç
another
belirtmemişler,
step
herhalde cross
towards
faction'da devam
one of
ediyor.
our goals,
Oha!
tearing down barriers, making the game as social
Bu
as
çok
possible,
büyük bir
making it as
devir
easy as possible
ama.
to play with who you want to play with, regardless of your server, regardless of
İnanılmaz bir
as much as
özellik.
possible. You
İnanılmaz.
wanna play WoW with somebody, let's make that happen.
Cross faction'ı ama cross faction'ı zaten getirdiler ya ve şu an ondan bahsetmiyor. Yenilik veya da değişiklik olarak. Dolayısıyla benim tahminim cross faction şeyi bitti zaten. Aynen, artık herkes herkesle. Tam guild içini konuşuyoruz biz de, aynen. Şu an guild'de zaten şey yapabiliyorsun. Yani Horde Alliance aynı guild'de olabiliyor. Zaten o sistemi getirdikleri için burada ekstra parantez bile açmamışlar ona hani. Şu anki tek eksiklik cross realm'de. Hani başka bir serverdan başka bir serverdaki guild'e giremiyordun. Tek eksiklik oydu. Şu an onu da kaldırdılar. Öf. We are back baby. Bilmiyordum, biz sadece Horde oynadığımız için arkadaşlar. Anladım. Yani işte şu an Horde Alliance'ı hiç fark etmiyor abi. Neresi olursa olsun guild'e giriyorsun. Efsane. Bu var ya, çığır açar bu. Ondan vazgeçmişler demek ki Cash. Yani zarar verir. Maddi olarak onlara zarar verir de onlar da Demek ki gözden çıkarmışlar. Demek ki yıllardır çok da bir getirisi yokmuş. Onun hesabını yapmışlardır. Koskoca Blizzard bu. Onun hesabını mı yapmayacak?
Of this whirlwind tour slash deep dive of War Within features. I know there's still a bunch of
Aynen.
questions, a bunch more information
Onun
to share.
matematiğini her türlü
Can't wait to do
yapmışlar.
that in the coming days.
İlk yaptıkları şey zaten o matematiktir, anladın mı? Aga biz bu transferden ne kadar para kazandık bugüne kadar? Ne bekliyorduk, ne kazandık? Biz doyurdu mu, doyurmadı mı? İdare eder mi, etmez mi? Ya siktir edin, bununla mı uğraşacağız deyip kaldırmışlar tamamen işte.
Days and weeks. But to begin,
Efsane.
everybody, if you have questions, if you're here at BlizzCon, go to the Darkmoon Fair in Hall D. You can drop off questions there. If you're if you're going online, you can go to the WoW or WoW Classic subreddit or our official forums and either ask your questions there or upvote others.
Bu hakikaten
This
çok
coming
büyük
week,
olay
when we
ama.
get back to the office, we're going to huddle, review the top questions and record
Chat, guild
streams
kuruyoruz.
for both
Tamam.
Classic and for War Within, addressing the top
Artık bana
questions
öyle
and
ay ben
getting
hordum,
information out
ay
there.
ben alliance'ım, ay ben bilmem ne serverındayım falan öyle şey bitti.
Once again, thank you so much for joining us. We are so excited to
Vay
make this
be,
journey
şok oldum
together
ha.
with you. Can't wait. Gonna play well.
Bu çok büyük olay. Gerçekten çok büyük olay ve üstüne ek olarak bu tabii ki Mythic Raiding muhabbeti. Yani sırf guild'i kurduk, aman yalandan kurduk, guild'e girdik de değil yani. Bildiğin Mythic Progress yapacaksan abi çatır çatır yapacaksın. Üf! Aynen bak, ben de aynı şeyi söyledim, görüyor musunuz? Bu herif de fark etmiş. Aynen öyle. Pozitiflik de değil. Adam kendi pozitif geldi zaten. Yani daha ilk 5 dakikada kimseden bir ses çıkmamasına rağmen adam çok, hani hem dediğim gibi yaptığı işe vücut dilinden anladım. Hem yaptığı işe güveni yansıtıyor bu. Hem de belli ki bu Microsoft'un gelişiyle veyahut da işte Chris Messer'in gelişiyle içeride bir şeyler böyle belirginleşmiş biraz daha. Yani son 2 expansion'dır, belki 3 expansion'dır şeydi bu. Böyle hep bir ağlamakla, hep bir titrek, böyle hep bir cevap verirken kasıla kasıla veriyor falan. Stres deli gibi. Şu an yok abi hiçbiri. Herif bildiğin daş gibi bir abi.
Pete. It's an
Gayet gülümser, güler yüzlü. Çatır çatır anlatıyor. Yani Chris Madsen'in gelişi işte belki ileriye yönelik veyahut da şu anlık içeride o rolleri şey yaptı. Şimdi Chris Madsen'in gidişi birçokları tam şey yapamıyor, kavrayamıyor ama ya ben geçen gün gördüm mesela Chris Madsen'in abi 95 yılında adamın Warcraft çizimleri var. Yani Warcraft'ı yaratan adam Chris Madsen, anladın mı? Hani öyle bir adamın şirketten gidiyor olması ve hep marka yüzü Chris Madsen'dir bu şeyde. Hani diğerleri de bilinir, görülür bilmem ne ama Chris Madsen'in yeri hep farklıdır. Dolayısıyla Chris Madsen gidince bu çocuk kaldı ortada. Hani hem oyunla ilgileniyor, hem oyunu deli gibi biliyor. Aynı zamanda sahne önünde de olmak zorunda falan. Böyle onu kaldıramadı galiba. Şimdi abi roller belli ki içeride oturmuş. Microsoft'un gelişiyle belki o tarafta bir şeyler değişmiştir. Mike Ybarra zaten gördünüz mü onu bilmiyorum da herif ağladı şeyde. Hop, ne Google account'u lan? Bu ne ya? Burada View Your Channel vardı. Tövbe estağfurullah. Mike Ybarra nerede Ybarra? Ben Ybarra'nın açılış konuşmasını ıskalamışım. Neyse. Mike Ybarra zaten sevilen bir herif. O belli ki içeride bir şeyleri değiştirmiş. O yüzden Ian'ın böyle olması güzel.